you wouldn't be wrong to consider the Acer Swift 3 2021 a budget laptop. Moreover, while cheaper laptops do not usually come with heavy expectations, the Swift line is a bit different. Moreover, the 2020 version more than delivers, continuing in the same tradition as its previous models. For a premium ultrabook, most would correctly look toward the Dell XPS 13, but the Acer Swift 3 2020's performance is not that far off. Better yet, it offers that performance for a much lower price of entry. It's not a perfect computer though. Acer Swift 3 2020 comes with some of the previous model's flaws, such as the tiny downward-facing speakers. However, it does improve upon the performance and battery life over the older models. The Acer Swift 3 2020 is an ideal pick for anyone who wants to get a fantastic ultrabook without breaking the bank just to get one. Before we start, go ahead and subscribe. Also press the bell button to get the latest updates. Without any further delay, let us start. The 14-inch Acer Swift 3 2021 model we reviewed is the $699 model, around £565 or 1,070 Australian dollars, which features a 10th Gen Intel Core i5 1035G1 processor, 8GB of DDR4 RAM, integrated Intel UHD graphics, and a 512GB M2 PCIe SSD. The cheapest Swift 3 configuration available for $499, around £405 or 765 Australian dollars, features an AMD Ryzen 5 3500, 4GB of DDR4 RAM, and AMD Radeon Vega 8 graphics. For the $799 version, around £645 or 1,220 Australian dollars, the Acer Swift 3 comes packed with a 10th Gen Intel Core i5 1035 G4 CPU, 8GB of DDR4 SD RAM, and M2 PCIe 512 SSD with an Intel Iris Plus graphics. Acer continued its minimalist design aesthetic with this year's Acer Swift 3. Definitely taking a cue from the Apple MacBook Air, the thin, lightweight aluminum chassis should feel familiar to anyone acquainted with earlier Acer Swift 3 models. The matte silver finish with polished Acer logo on the back is about as flashy as the laptop gets. And for some, that's exactly what they're looking for. Needless to say, you'll have to supply the personality yourself. The Swift 3 measures in at 12.6 into 8.5 into 0.6 inches and weighs 2.7 pounds, making the device incredibly portable without feeling flimsy. In fact, once our cat got bored with the box and decided to investigate the power cable, she brought the open running laptop down off a 3.5-foot tall desk onto a hardwood floor and bolted, leaving no visible or noticeable damage to the exterior or the internals of the laptop. While not in any way recommended as a test to run on your own machine, it's good to know that there's a chance that the Acer Swift 3 will survive in the real world. Speaking of opening it up, the Island-style keyboard features responsive chiclet keys and a Windows Hello-enabled fingerprint scanner. While some might find the keyboard to be a bit cramped, the keys are spaced well for a laptop of its size, and the black keys are backlit with soft white LEDs for better visibility. The trackpad is a good size and responds well during everyday general use. It also handled itself pretty well in a few PC gaming sessions of Stellaris and Civilization 6, but anything more than that will need a separate mouse or gamepad. As for ports, Acer loaded up 2020's Swift 3 with a USB 2, a USB 3, and a USB-C Thunderbolt 3 port to go along with an HDMI port and a headphone mic jack. There's no SD card reader or optical drive, but that's pretty typical of an ultrabook nowadays. The Swift 3 features a 14-inch Full HD 1920 by 1080 display that isn't the crispest on the market, but which is more than enough for most purposes. Several hours of HD streaming movies, looked excellent, bright enough in all but the most direct sunlight. The display's color profile doesn't stand out necessarily, but it feels like it at least meets the standard of a modern 1080p display. The bezels along the sides and top aren't the thinnest available right now, but they aren't the thickest either. The bottom bezel is the largest, but it's not awful. The total screen real estate feels appropriate for the overall size of the laptop, so it never gets to feeling like things are more cramped than they should be for a 14-inch display. In fact, having two application windows open side by side on screen was absolutely doable with minimal horizontal scroll on Chrome or Microsoft Word. As for the webcam and built-in mic, both are functional if modest. Neither are good enough for Twitch streaming, professional YouTube broadcasting, or anything along those lines, but they're more than adequate for teleconferencing through Zoom or similar for work purposes. The biggest improvement we saw over last year's Acer Swift 3 came in the battery department. Our battery life test, where we loop a 1080p video, ran for 7 hours and 6 minutes, about the same as older models of the Swift 3, but on the PC Mark 10 battery test, the Swift 3 ran for 6 hours and 12 minutes on performance mode with a balanced power profile and made it a full 8 hours on a modest battery saver mode and balanced power profile. As far as thermal performance, the Swift 3 runs comfortably and never gets noticeably warm even under duress, and the laptop's fans are effective and whisper quiet while actively cooling everything. The hottest part of the laptop is on the bottom rear of the machine by the battery, so the most likely time you'll notice any heat build up will be if you're gaming or video editing a project while sitting up in bed with the laptop on your legs. Even then, it will not get uncomfortably hot the way others might. Where the Swift 3 comes up short is its speakers. Unfortunately, the audio from the laptop is tiny with almost no low end, so it all comes off sounding somewhat flat. It's fine for listening to Spotify or YouTube while working on a project or typing up a report, but on max volume, it's barely audible a room or two away. And that's assuming the Swift 3 is sitting on a flat table with no obstruction or tablecloth to muffle it. With the downward-facing speakers, sitting the Swift 3 on a bed significantly muffles the sound. This has been a recurring problem with a lot of laptops over the years, and the Acer Swift 3 is no different. But it's something that should have been addressed by now. Ultrabooks have always been a bit more of a premium laptop, but the Acer Swift 3 aims at bringing a quality Ultrabook to the wider, more budget-conscious consumer. It's definitely succeeded in this respect. The compact dimensions and lightweight of the Acer Swift 3 make it one of the most portable laptops out there right now, making it perfect for students running back and forth around campus or for freelance professionals on the go. While not quite as refined as the MacBook Air, it's not out of the question that the Acer Swift 3 could be mistaken for one if you don't look too closely. We always want it all when it comes to our tech, but it is important to know what the Acer Swift 3 is not. If you're looking for a laptop for esports, this is not it, chief. There is just no getting around the serviceable speakers. You'll hear what you need to hear while actively working on the Swift 3. But if you're going to spend the day cleaning around the house, this should be your last choice for a stereo unless the alternative is an alarm clock radio. That is all for today, folks. Tell us in the comment section about your point of view. See you soon with another amazing video.